Hi, and welcome to the Frog Pond School of Design, where we try to have fun talking about things architectural. Today I want to take you back to my earliest days in architectural school. One of the first courses we took was a materials course, and some of the things that were said there form the basis of a lifelong understanding of how things work. Three comments stuck with me from all that. The first one was, you don't pour concrete. If you can pour it, you got way too much water in it. Okay, go back to that in a minute. The second one was an admonition to always use materials, whatever materials, in an honest and logical fashion. The third was, don't you know the dimensions of a brick? Everybody should know the dimensions of a brick. Okay, concrete. And this is a statement. If you can pour it, there's way too much water in it. It's a statement that I took to heart and got a lot of pleasure out of telling people over the years every time I heard somebody say they were going to be pouring concrete. You don't pour concrete, okay? Well, the rationale for that is, when concrete cures, that's not a drying process like glue or something like that. It's a chemical reaction that takes place, and the water sets it off. And any water beyond what's needed to set that reaction off weakens the concrete. I mean, they do crush tests and experimenting with different mixes, and truly, the more water you get, because the water, again, it's not a drying process, the water becomes part of the concrete eventually. So the more water you put in there, the weaker the concrete's going to be. And that's the rationale for that statement. And like I say, I used that many, many times over the years. But you know what? They made a liar out of me because technology caught up. They now have what they call plasticizers. And they just pour a little of this plasticizer into that concrete, and it flows like water. But it doesn't seem to weaken the final product. So that's one that I've had to throw out in more recent years, but it's a really neat advancement for construction. Okay, the second, honest use of materials. I got an example of that. My favorite example is stonework, because today most people don't really build stone walls. They build a wall and then they put stone on it, what's called a veneer, like a brick veneer, to make it look like a stone wall. But look at these two examples. Which one looks more logical, more feasible to you? Could you build a wall with stone like that? I don't think so. I think you'd have problems. You take these flattish kind of stones and you tip them up vertically and glue them onto the wall. Whereas the lower example is a lot more straightforward. It looks like a wall that could genuinely be a stone wall. So that's just kind of an example of one of the things that you want to keep in mind. How does the mind perceive this material, and am I using it in a way that's consistent with that? Third one, how big is a brick? When that statement was made, I thought, who cares how big a brick is? Well, it's important. Not so much the length, but the height of the brick is critical. And I hope you can see this well enough to see that that's a concrete block wall that you're looking at there. And I've drawn in 6 brick, and you notice that 3 brick high lines up with the height of the concrete block. The block is a nominal 8 inches high, and you want the brick, because a lot of times they build a block wall and then they do a brick veneer standing in front of that, but you got to tie the two together. Well, with the masonry wall, you can do that just by putting ties in the joints, so long as the joints line up on a regular basis as the wall goes up. So the brick is essentially a third the height of a concrete block, which makes it too and some inches, because the block is 8-inch nominal. It's actually 7 5/8. And that's critical. But even as an architectural student, it took me a while to understand why that was important. So those are just kind of some of the fun things that have stuck with me over the years, clear from back in school, and what they look like today. Thanks for joining us on the Frog Pond School of Design today. I look forward to seeing you hanging around the pond again real soon.